Admiral Kexton stood before the immense viewing screen in the chambers of the Galactic Council, his crystalline body refracting starlight into shards of brilliance. Around him, the assembled delegates shifted uneasily, the air thick with protocol and arrogance. Kexton belonged to the Zetherian Empire, and his tone carried that empire's typical superiority. Honored delegates, he began, gesturing toward the floating star maps that illuminated the chamber. We meet today to discuss the redistribution of the abandoned sectors. The human territories have remained vacant for more than 3 centuries. It is time we put those resources to proper use. Murmurs rippled through the room. Chancellor Vexer of the Meridian Collective leaned forward, his amphibious features catching the glow of the maps. Admiral, surely you do not still cling to those old myths. The humans were a primitive species at best, barely capable of interstellar travel before they vanished. Kexton's crystalline surface shimmered faintly, the Zetherian equivalent of amusement. Indeed, Chancellor. Humans had legends about what they called stubbornness, an absurd insistence on fighting against impossible odds. They thought their so-called human spirit could defy superior technology. They believed that, no matter how dark the path ahead, they could always find a way forward. Admirable in rhetoric. Foolish in practice. The council chamber erupted with laughter. The lumininals, beings of radiant plasma, pulsed with mocking colors. The insectoid Vexhi buzzed in amusement, while the Aquatan representatives clicked their guild-driven language in mocking approval. Humans, they agreed, had been defined by delusion. But far from the Grand Chamber, another story was unfolding. On the bridge of the UGS Defiance, Captain Lisa Carter stared into the void ahead. The region known simply as the Dark stretched like an endless ocean of shadow, where stars dimmed and sensors faltered. Her crew moved in silence, each aware this mission might be their last. Navigator Morrison, Lisa said, her voice steady. Confirm our heading. Jake Morrison, weathered and gray-eyed, looked up from his console. Course confirmed, Captain. We're heading straight into the dark. Automated systems are programmed to continue even if we don't make it. Engineer Katie Walsh emerged from below deck, grease streaked across her face. I've reinforced the engines. The modifications should hold life support, even if we face the energy drains others reported. Communications Officer Ben Phillips turned from his station, his young face betraying fear beneath his determination. I've sent final messages back to the colonies. If we find what we're searching for, the beacons will carry it home. If we don't return, they'll know we tried. Lisa nodded slowly, her heart heavy with the burden of billions. Humanity's colonies were dying, planets overcrowded, resources exhausted, survival slipping away. This voyage into the dark was more than exploration. It was the last desperate hope for her species. Take us in, Lisa ordered. Whatever waits in the dark, we face it together. Back in the Galactic Council, the conversation shifted back to profit. Kexton displayed maps of mineral-rich planets once belonging to humans. Their colonies produced little, he declared. Their ships were crude. Their weapons ineffective. When they set off into the dark, we assumed it was merely a ceremonial suicide. Chancellor Vexer flicked his display alive. Trade routes lit up like veins across the void. In just 1 year, our mining operations on former human worlds have exceeded their entire output across centuries. Humanity is gone. The sector is open. The lumininals pulsed in agreement. No energy signatures remain. Their colonies fell silent long ago. Humanity, for all practical purposes, no longer exists. But on the neutral research station Haven's Rest, one voice of dissent was quietly unearthing a different truth. Dr. Elena Rodriguez hunched over a console in her xenoarchaeology lab. Scattered around her were fragments of human life, data cores, scorched ship hulls, personal relics left behind in haste. For decades, she had studied these remains, dismissed by colleagues as a woman obsessed with the myths of a dead species. But her latest discovery froze her in place. Deep inside a decrypted human data core, she found references to something called Project Exodus. The file was fragmented, corrupted, but chillingly clear. Preliminary scouting reports confirm the entities in the dark are not natural phenomena. They are older than this galaxy. And they are hungry. Fleet commanders proceed despite risks. If left unchecked, they will emerge and consume all life. Elena sat back, pulse racing. The humans had not disappeared into despair. They had gone into the dark with intent. The record spoke of generation ships capable of sustaining whole populations for centuries. Of forge worlds hidden away, where new technologies could evolve beyond the reach of alien eyes. And most of all, of a fleet, not an exodus of refugees, but a coordinated military operation on a scale the galaxy had never imagined. Her colleagues dismissed it all as human myth. But Elena's heart whispered a different story. Humanity had not died. Humanity had gone to war. Centuries passed. Trade routes filled with alien commerce. Human worlds became exploited mines. The stubborn species was a punchline, a forgotten footnote. Until something stirred. Commander Zeril of the Zetherian Deep Space Patrol stared at his console aboard the Crystal Blade. For a year, they had monitored the edge of the dark. It had been silent for centuries. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Yexhai, her crystalline form flickering with unease. "Energy signatures, 50,000 kilometers off our port side. They do not match any known technology." Zeril frowned, leaning closer. The readings were impossible. Power levels beyond any known species, signals whispering across strange frequencies. Natural phenomena? Zeril asked, though doubt already gnawed at him. "Negative, Commander. These are artificial. Advanced beyond anything in our databases." For 3 centuries, the dark had been silent. Now, faint but unmistakable signs of power were waking. Back at Haven's Rest, Elena's assistant Blutter burst into the lab, his gill slits fluttering with agitation. "Dr. Rodriguez, reports from the outer colonies. Ships are vanishing. Survivors speak of attacks, by unknown vessels." Elena's stomach clenched. The human files had spoken of reconnaissance, preliminary operations. Preparation for a return. "What do the survivors describe?" she asked. "Vessels that appear and disappear. No signatures, no debris. Precision strikes on power plants, comms arrays, defenses, surgical, coordinated." Elena's hands shook as she reopened the human archives. Reconnaissance. Infrastructure assessment. Reclamation. Humanity had not simply disappeared into the dark. They had been preparing to come back. At the farthest edge of known space, ancient beacons flickered to life, transmitting on channels silent for centuries. Codes written in human military ciphers no alien mind had ever cracked. On the bridge of the UGS Resilience, Captain Alex Stone reviewed the reports. His ship was nothing like the crude vessels that had first entered the dark. It was the product of 3 centuries of relentless evolution in war. Admiral Murphy confirms, his comms officer reported. Reconnaissance phase complete. The galaxy is unprepared, just as predicted. Alex nodded. Born in the dark, raised in its shadow, he carried none of the illusions of peace. Humanity had survived, but survival had forged them into something new, something the galaxy would no longer recognize. "Signal Fleet Command," he ordered. Phase 2 begins. After centuries, it is time to remind the galaxy why humanity left, and why we return. The dark stirred. Humanity was no longer a memory. It was a storm. If you're enjoying this story of humanity's forgotten return, let me know in the comments. Do you think the galaxy is ready for what waits in the dark? Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see where this journey leads. The Galactic Council had long since dismissed the human question as irrelevant. For centuries, they had spoken of humans as one might speak of fossils, curious relics of a flawed design. And so when scattered reports of vanishing patrol ships trickled in from the frontier, the council barely raised an eyebrow. Admiral Kexton, crystalline form gleaming under the chamber lights, stood once again before the delegates. A handful of lost ships is hardly unusual, he declared. Gravitational anomalies, pirate raids, perhaps even sensor malfunctions. The idea that humans are responsible is absurd. Chancellor Vexer of the Meridian Collective croaked in agreement. Let us not indulge in superstition. Humans are dust. Our empires thrive on their ashes. We should not insult ourselves by pretending otherwise. The council chamber pulsed with laughter. Yet, behind the arrogance, a trace of unease lingered. For those patrols had not been destroyed in battle. They had simply disappeared. No distress signals. No debris fields. Only silence. On board the UGS Defiance, Captain Lisa Carter reviewed the latest recon reports. Her once ragtag vessel now flew alongside a fleet born in secrecy, ships forged in hidden foundries, powered by reactors reverse-engineered from what the dark had revealed. Her second officer, Morrison, leaned close. Council still dismisses the disappearances. They believe it's pirates. Some even suggest their own crews are fabricating losses for attention. Lisa allowed herself a faint smile. Good. Let them believe that. Doubt is the first step to collapse. If they cannot imagine our return, they will never prepare for it. Walsh, ever the pragmatist, tapped her datapad. Our shadow fleets are in position. Civilian populations in frontier colonies whisper of human ghosts. They no longer know whether we are myth or reality. And that, Lisa said, her gaze hard as steel, is exactly what we want. The galaxy will fear shadows long before they face us. The first wave of humanity's campaign was not conquest. It was confusion. Communications relays failed without warning. Trade convoys slipped into dark corridors of space, never emerging. Patrols sent to investigate returned without memory of what they had encountered, or did not return at all. Whispers spread across the alien empires. Ghost ships. Silent hunters. Strange signals that mirrored long-forgotten human codes. The Vex-High insectoids, so proud of their hive fleets, awoke one morning to find 3 entire carriers missing, plucked from orbit as if by invisible hands. The Lumininals, radiant beings of living plasma, discovered that their energy harvesters now pulsed with interference. Their luminous bodies dimmed, trembling with fear of unseen predators. The Aquatan colonies by the Silver Seas reported hearing voices, human voices, over comms bands thought secure. Not attacks, not threats. Just whispers, we are still here. In her lab on Haven's Rest, Dr. Elena Rodriguez traced these incidents with trembling fingers across her star maps. She had warned them. She had told the Council that humanity had not died, but adapted. Now, the galaxy was learning the truth the hard way. Her assistant Blutter croaked nervously. The Council is in chaos. Delegates accuse one another. Some claim it is the architects, old nightmares from forgotten cycles. Others whisper of human vengeance. Elena shook her head. Not vengeance. Strategy. Humanity is not trying to destroy the Council. They are dismantling its certainty. Every ship lost, every signal corrupted, every whisper in the void, it tells the same story: the galaxy is not in control. She paused, eyes fixed on the glowing outline of human space. And if I am right, this is only the beginning. The humans have not yet attacked. They are preparing the stage. Deep in the dark, Fleet Command convened. Dozens of ships hovered in formation, their hulls marked with insignias that no alien eye had seen for centuries. Admirals addressed one another in voices hardened by generations of exile. Phase 2 successful, reported Admiral Murphy. His hair was silver, his frame scarred by age and duty. Enemy infrastructure is destabilizing. Supply chains are fractured. Their paranoia grows. Captain Alex Stone of the UGS Resilience added, psychological operations have exceeded projections. Some colonies already believe humans have become something other. Legends of spectral fleets spread faster than facts. Another officer, General Amina Hassan, folded her arms. Good. Let them invent monsters. The truth will be worse. Admiral Murphy's gaze swept the room. Remember our purpose. We do not wage this war for revenge, nor for glory. We do this for survival. The dark taught us that stagnation is death. Humanity must evolve, or be consumed. A hush fell over the officers. Every one of them had seen glimpses of what lay deeper in the dark. They knew the galaxy mocked humans for vanishing. But the truth was far stranger. Humanity had left not to escape the galaxy, but to prepare for something greater, something older, something watching. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council spiraled into discord. Emergency sessions erupted in fury. Chancellor Vexer slammed his amphibious hands on the table. This is coordinated warfare. We must unite our fleets against this threat. Admiral Kexton's crystalline form flared with indignation. You speak as if humans are gods. They were primitives. Even if some remnant remains, they cannot challenge the empires of the Council. Vexer's throat sacs bulged with anger. Then explain the disappearances. Explain the ghost fleets. Explain the whispers across our comms. The chamber boiled over into shouting, alliances fracturing before humanity even revealed its face. On the frontier, alien civilians suffered the most. Crops withered as supply chains broke. Starports closed, rumors spreading faster than trade. Refugees whispered of humans returning with ships of living shadow, of weapons that could unmake the stars. Some colonies even began to worship the myth of humanity's return. To them, humans were no longer flesh and blood beings, but cosmic judges, punishing the arrogance of the Council. And in a way, the myth was not wrong. Humanity had changed. Centuries in the dark had stripped away weakness. What emerged was not the same species the Council remembered. In the hidden command chamber of the UGS Defiance, Lisa Carter addressed her crew. They call us ghosts. Monsters. Demons. Good. Let the galaxy tell its stories. Every myth they invent strengthens our reality. They do not need to know what we are, only that we are inevitable. Her officers nodded, each one aware they were no longer fighting only for humanity, but for the balance of the galaxy itself. Lisa's voice softened, but her eyes were sharp. The Council laughed at us. They thought our spirit was delusion. They thought survival was beyond us. But we learned. We endured. And now. She let the silence stretch, the weight of history pressing down. Now, we remind them. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity waits. Humanity returns. Far across the stars, deep in the dark silent corridors, fleets stirred. Beacons pulsed in ancient rhythms. The whispers grew louder. Phase 3 was about to begin. And when it did, the galaxy would finally see what had been forged in the shadows. What do you think? Does humanity's return feel like salvation, or like the beginning of a greater catastrophe? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to follow the final chapter of this story. The galaxy trembled. For centuries, the great empires had laughed at the idea of humanity's survival. But now, their laughter had turned to silence. Patrol fleets gone. Colonies destabilized. Shadows whispering of a return no one wanted to believe. At last, the Galactic Council convened in emergency session. No longer arrogant, no longer amused, afraid. Admiral Kexton stood rigid, his crystalline form fractured by stress fractures that gleamed like wounds. Reports confirmed the impossible. The signals are human. Coordinated, deliberate. Fleets have been sighted at the frontier, fleets more advanced than any we have faced. Chancellor Vexer croaked bitterly. Then the legends are true. The humans went into the dark not to die, but to grow. Panic erupted through the chamber. Some delegates demanded immediate war. Others begged for peace. Still others whispered the unthinkable, that perhaps humans should be left alone, that whatever they had become was beyond negotiation. But all fell silent when the comms array flickered. The face of a human appeared. Captain Lisa Carter's image filled the council chamber. Her eyes were cold, her voice calm. Delegates of the Galactic Council, she said, each word deliberate, measured. For 500,000 years, you mocked humanity. You saw us as stubborn children, too primitive to endure. You believed we vanished. You were wrong. The chamber sat frozen. For the first time in centuries, the voice of a human echoed across the galaxy. We entered the dark to learn. To adapt. To become more than prey in your games of empire. While you grew fat on our worlds, we built in silence. While you dismissed us as dust, we forged weapons you cannot comprehend. Kexton stepped forward, crystalline form quivering. Is this a declaration of war? Lisa's lips curved faintly, not into a smile, but into something sharper. War. No. This is survival. You thought yourselves rulers of the galaxy. You are not. You are children, blind to what watches from the shadows. At Haven's Rest, Dr. Elena Rodriguez felt her blood run cold as she replayed the transmission. She had feared this moment, yet also longed for it. Humanity had returned, yes, but not as the council remembered. Blutter leaned close, gills fluttering in panic. They'll unite against humanity now. Every empire will rally. There will be war across the stars. Elena shook her head, whispering to herself. They don't understand. Humanity is not their enemy. The dark is. She turned back to her console, staring at the decrypted fragments of Project Exodus. The final files referenced something only in whispers, the architects. Entities older than the galaxy. Builders of structures larger than star systems. Beings that consumed civilizations in cycles so long, most species never even knew they were part of a pattern. And humanity, alone among the younger races, had glimpsed them. In the hidden depths of the dark, the UGS Resilience and its sister ships moved into formation. Captain Alex Stone watched as the fleet aligned around a colossal construct, a station that dwarfed even the greatest alien capital ships. It was not alien. It was human. Forged in exile, powered by technology humanity had learned from the shadows. Admiral Murphy's voice cut through the command channel. The Council believes we return for conquest. Let them. Their fear serves us. But remember, our true war is not with them. Stone nodded grimly. The architects. Murphy's silence was answer enough. And then, the first sign appeared. In a sector long abandoned, sensors across dozens of empires detected impossible energy surges. Space itself seemed to ripple. Stars dimmed. Entire fleets vanished, not by attack, but as though erased from existence. The architects had awakened. The Galactic Council, still reeling from humanity's return, now faced terror they had no words for. Reports poured in, massive structures drifting out of the void, rewriting space around them. Weapons that bent physics. Ships made of geometry too complex for the eye to follow. Delegates screamed over one another, demanding solutions, alliances, scapegoats. Some blamed the humans for awakening these entities. Others begged humanity to intervene. But humanity did not beg. Humanity prepared. On the UGS Defiance, Lisa Carter gathered her crew. We told the Council the truth, we do not seek war for glory. But the architects are awake, and they will consume everything. The Council will not believe until it is too late. That leaves us. Walsh slammed a fist against the console. We've spent centuries preparing. Our fleets are ready. Our weapons are untested against them, but at least we have weapons. Morrison leaned back, eyes shadowed. If we lose. Lisa cut him off. If we lose, the galaxy ends. Humanity is the only species that has stared into the dark and refused to break. That is why we will win. Not because we are stronger. Not because we are smarter. But because we do not stop. Her crew nodded, the weight of history pressing upon them. They were not just fighting for Earth, or for scattered colonies. They were fighting for existence itself. At Haven's Rest, Elena whispered into her recorder, her message meant for generations yet unborn. The architects have returned. The council is blind. But humanity carries the fire they do not understand. They call it stubbornness. They call it delusion. But perhaps it is something else. A refusal to surrender to inevitability. A belief that even when the universe itself turns hostile, life can push back. She paused, her voice breaking. If we survive this cycle, it will be because of them. At the galactic edge, humanity's fleets met the architects for the first time. The void erupted in silence. There was no roar of engines, no thunder of cannon fire. Only flashes of impossible light, the distortion of space itself as human ships clashed against entities older than stars. From the council worlds, alien empires watched the transmissions in disbelief. Humanity, dismissed as a forgotten people, mocked as dreamers, now stood between them and annihilation. And for the first time, the galaxy understood, humanity had not returned for revenge. Humanity had returned because someone had to. In the darkened command center of the UGS Resilience, Captain Stone whispered to himself as the architect's vast silhouette filled the screen. They thought we were gone. They thought we were weak. But we are the species that learned in the shadows. We are the species that refuses to die. He raised his hand. All ships, fire. The void ignited. And so humanity's true war began. What do you think? Will humanity's stubborn spirit be enough against the architects, or is survival impossible against such a foe? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more stories like this one.